So our role is to advise participants, in particular smaller organizations, SMEs, new stakeholders. We are looking for new stakeholders which could be a part to this multi-actor approach proposal. And this is also important to know that this criteria is evaluated under the excellent part of the proposal, but this also very much reflects across the whole proposal, and it's very well shown in the impact part. So this knowledge we NCPs must possess and also rise up at the national level for possible stakeholders, clients. And from my experience, multi-actor is rather neglected by majority of the clients, and we NCP we are trying to change this situation, and that's why we are acting across nationally, inform and looking for some new stakeholders from the agri-bioeconomy food sector. And we try to raise awareness of this project across the cluster 6 at national level. I think the majority of our clients, the new clients, they have these concerns whether they are relevant because they are new, they are small, they are different, not well known. So this NCP's role to give them support, assisting, advising, and training them.
And form, like I mentioned here, a line of different abilities and needs from as a farmers, but also in dairy companies, as well as a roof organization. But very briefly, if we arrange, design new projects, they are ordered from partners. So we try to stay as possibly linked with real life, not to dream too much. And we use partners from public and private R&D institutions. And we're not dealing with other things. And this is, I think, the first important experience out of my journey with that is try to keep focused. Otherwise, you will be lost. And if we do roughly either strategy forming or development projects, then the same members know what you are doing, why they gather, why they should be involved. And why I mentioned that people often are not too talkative, you need to get this knowledge what they have, or what the message what they may have out of them, because in every life aspect you get this 20-80 balance, that 20% are talkative and 80 are very silent. That doesn't mean that they don't have anything to say, they just don't talk. And if we now try to squeeze out of that some pieces of the experience is from one hand, a lot of things are quite well thought through. That means I'm trying to be responsible, whatever we do. That means if I am authorized from general meeting, I'm carrying this responsibility with full scale. That means if I ask members to come together, that means they have to decide. If we have agreed to come together, then you need to come or authorize somebody. Then we also respect each other's time. All projects or all work what we do are pre-analyzed. Members never hear things which I'm not satisfied myself. That means I try to, again, respect these people who come together. We have not too much time, we can't waste that. And the first ideas were gathered this competition. That means the same entrepreneurs who gathered for NGO, they like pre-authorized some ideas which were interesting, like in farmer side, what was more like in industry side. And so we somehow found a reasonable way to work together. So whatever we do, it's likely a cooperation successful cooperation story.
What I think and see in multi-actor approach to be the most crucial things: compensation for the farmers to get them involved, common language, and justification and added value for participating in the multi-actor approach work. Thank you.
The first important one is, of course, the consortium formation, because without that, it just won't work. And it's quite challenging to find your puzzle pieces of other members, especially when you're a bit of a smaller organization, where you have more specific areas and skills, instead of for bigger organizations like universities or so, they have already a very broad array and have easier to find connections. And what often goes wrong, of course, that is that you underestimate the relational aspects and individual cultural differences, because you really have to get to know each other and know how you work together. It's also a matter, with my experience, to find those critical roles and competencies. Someone to lead it, someone to manage the economy, and what else there can be to keep it all together. And that is also a bit more difficult when you're in a small organization. And when you're the person involved in writing, you also need to have some back office resources to cover your back. As I mentioned, finding the right consortium, it's really difficult. And also you need to have like a bigger organization to manage. When there is a bigger project, you need some really skilled administrators to do that, and experience too. So there should ideally be good support functions for administrative staff also. And it's a timely process to build these relationships, and it's a challenge to prioritize that. Ideally, I think it's best to do some test driving first in a smaller scale. And that would mean, like in this context, perhaps transnational or macro-regional smaller projects where you can get to know each other. Because it's quite hard to go from a small scale to a very big scale directly. Overall, I see a big need to integrate competencies related to managing these kinds of projects in the whole ecosystem. There is a big need for a process leader and project leader skills, and understanding the process with all the things that can happen meanwhile. Because it's always easier to work with people that have a more similar understanding of what is going on, and it's good to have some help with that.